to say it because a lot of times you can't. The Saints are horny.
I will be so happy when purity culture is long gone and dead. So many people have grown up thinking sex before marriage is a sin, or having sex is a sin, among a lot of other things that people consider to be a sin. And this is why understanding cultural context is so important. A lot of people think that the Israelites got information about the world from God. When people find out that this is how the Israelites viewed the world, the next conclusion they come to is, oh, the Israelites must have got this from God. No, they didn't. They got this from people. When people look at the purity laws in the Old Testament, people also assume that those purity laws came from God. But if you go to a good seminary or a good college for Semitic studies, you find out that is not the case. Those purity laws in the Bible, they didn't come from God. Now, God did use those purity laws for his overall benefit, for his overall good. They did not come from God, but God ultimately utilized those laws. And the reason why is because all covenants in the ancient Near East, they pretty much all had the same laws because that was a part of their culture. If you go to the Code of Hammurabi, a lot of the purity laws that are in the Bible are in the Code of Hammurabi and a whole bunch of other ancient Near Eastern legal texts. And for the love of God, what Christians just can't seem to understand is a lot of the things that the Israelites were doing was not a divine command from the heavens. It was a part of their culture. The reason why people didn't have sex before they got married in the ancient Near East is because women were considered property. So if your virgin lost her virginity by another guy, she lost her value, and her father would not be able to sell her to a marriageable man. Nobody thinks like that today. In church, a lot of young women and young girls are being told to keep their virginity because God knows why. But nobody in 2023, I will hope, would tell a young woman to not have sex before marriage so that they can sell her for a bride's price. The entire concept of waiting to have sex until you get married comes from a Bronze Age culture that is outdated. And it did not come from God. It came from these people's culture. And you know what would happen if a woman went on her marriage night, if a woman went on her wedding night, and it was found out she wasn't a virgin? They would stone her ass. So if you want to keep purity culture, if you want to keep telling people to wait until they get married to have sex, are we also willing to take women out of their bedrooms and stone them? No, we're not. Well, it seems to me that we're picking and choosing what purity laws we need to obey. And by the way, if you want to use that story where Jesus said, let he who is without stone cast the first stone, that story is not in original manuscripts. So that can't be your justification for why you can't stone virgins on their wedding night, Christians. The whole point is God used a certain people who lived at a certain time. And at that certain time in history, when God interacted with these people, they had a completely different set of moral values. And they're outdated. Now, we live 2,000, 3,000 years apart from these people, and we have different moral values. I would even say we have better moral values. Hell, we live in a world where we have police and law enforcement. One of the biggest reasons for Joshua's conquest is because you couldn't go somewhere and call the cops. There was no law enforcement. It was just you, your tribe, your sword, and God. Think about how much time young people have wasted. Think about how many experiences young people have wasted. Think about how many young people were trained to live like old elderly people because we have this unquestionable tradition about not having sex till marriage and being strangely pure, like some ancient secret Hebrew sage. Now, I'm not saying go out and have sex with everybody. You obviously need to exercise wisdom. You need to exercise safe sex, obviously. But one of the biggest things, one of the biggest reasons that keep people in this Christian purity movement is fear. Fear and people not being educated on the actual cultural context of their Bible. And the reality is that when it comes to the Bible and the world of the Bible, The Israelites were extremely superstitious people. And some of the reasons for their extreme purity had to do with superstition. Now, isn't Christ above superstition? Long story short, the entire point of the Torah was that the Torah was supposed to show people what wisdom looked like. The Torah wasn't supposed to show people exactly to the T, to the dot, exactly what wisdom is. The Torah was supposed to show people what wisdom looked like. In the world of the Israelites, what the Tanakh or what the Torah was supposed to do is the Torah was supposed to train you up to a certain point to where you didn't need to open up the Torah so you could get wisdom, but you read so much Torah that the wisdom of the Torah was inside of you. Like King Solomon. When King Solomon has that ordeal with those two women, King Solomon doesn't go to the Torah and he doesn't go to a legal text and he goes to section 5A7. But King Solomon has enough wisdom. He knows how to wisely go about this situation. And you see that throughout most of the Bible. A lot of situations in the Bible, there wasn't a Bible text for these people to go to. They had to go off of God-given Holy Spirit wisdom. And because we do live in a different culture, and because we live in a completely different society, it's not the wisest to wait until you do have sex to get married, because it is no longer beneficial. But at the same time, it's also not wise to have 152,000 partners, etc., etc. So there does have to be a balance. And nobody can tell you exactly what that balance is. And that's the entire point of having wisdom. If you want to know about some of this wisdom, if you want to know about some of these secrets of the Bible from the East, go to the link in my bio and get my books and follow me.